I'll share with you the common goals that people generally have. I have some clients that just want clarity. They want to be able to speak in a way that makes them feel clear, understood. They have a medium accent. They want to keep that accent, and that's totally fine. That's totally okay. It's kind of exotic and it's totally fine. Some people just want that. Okay. There's some people who want to reduce their accent so that they have a very light accent. And that's cool too. You can do whatever you want. Then there are people, I have followers that want to have more of a native like accent. So they barely have an accent if they have an accent at all. So wherever you are on this, you can actually comment where you are. If you're watching the replay, if you're watching live, tell me, are you a 1, a 2, or a 3 in your accent goals for English? Um, I'm going to talk about this because I think it's really important to know that if you want to have clarity in your accent and that's the only level that you want to acquire, it's easier to get here. To reduce your accent further, it takes some work. It takes work. However, if you wanna have a native-like accent, it takes a lot more work, a lot more dedication, a lot more time. And I wanna read with you a quote, because you may or may not know this, but I love psychology and I love personal development, books and things like that. And I found a quote that I think is very interesting and helpful when you're deciding if you want to have, just to speak clearly, to reduce your accent, or to speak like more like a native speaker. And here it is. It's from a book I read. Most endeavors, like learning a foreign language, to be correct 95% of the time requires 6 months of concentrated effort, whereas to be correct 98% of the time requires 20 to 30 years. So focus on great for a few things, but good enough for the rest. Perfection is a good ideal and direction to have, but recognize it for what it is, an impossible destination. This is a quote from Timothy Ferris. And, you know, when I when I coach, I know there's a lot of people that want to have a perfect native like accent. Okay? What I was taught as I have a speech language pathologist that got me certified and, like, to be an accent specialist, and she basically told us that it's impossible to sound like a native 100% of the time, like, 100% of the time. You could fool people for most of the time, but 100% of the time, is it is it possible? I would say you can get very, very, very close, but like the quote said, to be 98% of the time correct, to be correct 98% of the time. Whew, that's a lot of work. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's important to have that mindset of, you know, understanding that to get here, it it's kind of hard. Um, I've also shared with you a little graph. I'm going to write it out again. I think I am going to write it out again, and it's something that I share with people whenever they ask, "How much change can I make in my accent?" Right? Um, can I completely transform it in a few months, or what does that look like? This is time now, or, in the past, now, whatever, to later. And this is to have like I'm going to say a perfect, or your goal accent. Let's say almost perfect. If somebody comes to see me when they have a very thick accent, within a short amount of time, there's going to be a lot of improvement where it starts to slow down, it slows down, it slows down. And then at the very end, it feels like nothing's really happening. So that being said, if you want to sound like a native speaker at the very end, it's very long. It's very hard to to make any improvements. But in the beginning, it's a lot faster. So that's something to keep in mind. I feel like clarity is here, and then to reduce your foreign accent, it starts to slow down, but it's easier than if you want to perfect it, like, at the very end. So that's something to consider just to prepare yourself mentally and, to understand that it takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of it's like going to the gym. Everybody wants to have the perfect, the perfect body, but not a lot of people wanna go to the gym. Alright, so that's something to consider. Just the reality of wanting to sound native, it's gonna take time, and it's you have to really ask yourself, do you want to put in that energy and that time? Some people do, and that's cool. But just know, you have options and you can decide where you want the destination to be.